This is a how-to video for how to use the plasma cutter that we have in the shop. Quick steps here. The power switch for the plasma cutter is on the back of the machine, just like it is with the welders. When you turn it on, you should see a green light if it has air and everything in the torch itself is okay. The consumables are good. We want to go ahead and leave it at full power, so that is all the way to the 30 amp. With the 1/4 inch stuff that we are cutting, that is where we need to leave it. With this plasma cutter, with any of the plasma cutters that we have, there is a ground clamp. We can usually leave the ground clamp attached to the plasma cutting table because the entire table is metal. It allows electricity to flow through the entire table, so you have the positive and the negative that will allow it. If you're having trouble cutting something, it seems like it's just not the plasma's not coming out. It's not igniting, essentially, is what's going on. You can attach the ground directly to the metal piece that you're cutting, and that should alleviate the bad ground that you have. However, just make sure that you wrap it up nicely after you're done. With anything in the shop, we don't step on hoses and we don't step on cords. We need to keep them off the ground so that way any stray sparks or molten metal that's falling doesn't sit on it or sit against it and just melt right through it, because that happens also. So we want to keep that from happening. So all of our cords and hoses don't touch the ground. Okay? We just keep them off the ground. The way that the plasma cutter works, it does have a safety, and then it's got a trigger. It will ignite kind of out here for a moment, but it won't stay lit, or it won't ignite at all. You do need to be down here to where the electricity can flow all the way through the machine. What we're going to do is cut on this water table. So this is a little station where we have water in the table. All of these slats are movable if you drop a piece and you need to be able to get it. We also have a magnet right here. This magnet needs to stay here in this position. If you see it not in that position, you may put it back in position. These slats come out for cleaning or for getting something that you dropped. The magnets for getting something that you dropped. We have a recycle bucket right below us. That's where any pieces that you don't need, do not leave them in here. Put them into the recycle bucket. Please don't try to melt the bucket. We have a straight edge over here, and we will be using this at different points, and we will be using this here in a minute. I'm going to have you freehand one of these, and I'm going to have you straight cut one of these for your safety demonstration. We do have an exhaust right here, so if we're doing something that is a little bit on the smoky side, we do have that opportunity to put this close to where we're working. Usually the water will catch a lot of the smoke if there is smoke produced, or a lot of the exhaust will be captured in the water, but we do have the exhaust available at this station and at the one station that's behind us. That is the aluminum cutting station. We do have that exhaust available to us. So for this first assignment, we're going to, and I highlighted, the whole thing is done in pencil. I think you can see some of it. But I highlighted what we're working with today in Sharpie. So we're going to cut off one of the squares that you're doing. You're going to cut that off, and we're going to use the straight edge for that. And then we're going to freehand one of the middle square cuts. We're going to freehand that off, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do the freehand one first, and then I'll demonstrate how to use the square to cut with. The safety, the PPE that you need would be glasses. That's all that's required for a quick cut. If you're doing this more than just a quick cut, you will want to wear a lot more protection, because there is a lot more exposure if you're doing this for a longer period of time. I'm going to be wearing gloves because I'm going to be doing more of a cut here. If you're doing this for a long time, more than 30 seconds, wear a helmet. Just turn it to grinder mode. If you're doing it for a longer period of time, you'll want to turn it to a 9 or a 10 shade, so that way your eyes are not affected. But just for quick cuts, you just need safety glasses. This will splash up onto you, so if you're wearing anything nice and you're not wearing your welding gear, keep that in mind. It's probably going to ruin it. So to start off with, I'm going to do the inside cut. It's going to blow out 80 pounds psi, 80 psi of air out the tip here. So there's going to be molten metal flying here in a minute. If I cut straight down, which is what I want to do after I pierce a hole through this, it's going to come back up into the gun and it's going to plug it. So I don't want that. So I'm going to start at an angle, about a 45-degree angle right in the middle of the square. I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm going to rotate the gun up to where it's at a 90-degree angle to the metal, and then I'm just going to slowly just trace my lines, and then that middle piece should go directly into the water, should just fall out. If I'm going too fast, I'm going to see a bunch of sparks come back up, flying around up top. If I'm going the right speed, the sparks are going to go down below. When I initially cut, it's going to shoot out here, and then it will go through, and you'll see. This will continue to run for a little bit while it cools off the head of the torch. This metal might be heated up. You can cool it off in the water or take it over to the sink to cool it off with cold water. Usually by second or third hour, this water in here is pretty warm. So you could see when I pierced it, it shot a bunch of sparks. So you want to make sure that you're directing the sparks away from yourself and other people. And then I went around it. At one point, the sparks shot back up, and I just circled the square again just to get that cut out. So I went too fast there for a moment, and it did not completely cut through. So that's cutting freehand. And again, you're going to start with an angled direction on the torch head, about 45 degrees, so that way it doesn't blow straight back up into the torch head and clog it. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use the guide, and I'm doing what you guys are going to do. I'm going to place the guide down here. I'm going to drag the torch head along the edge of this guide. This is just a piece of angle iron that we use as a straight edge. I'm going to cut one direction, and then I'm going to turn everything, and I'm going to cut the other direction, and then I should be done at that point. When I start on an edge cut, I want to start on the very edge of the metal, so that way the debris doesn't go back up inside the gun. I want it to go down into the water away from the gun. So I'm starting on the very edge of the metal. Okay, cut all the way through. Pull that off for a minute. Turn it. Line my straight edge back up. Pull it off. Need to make sure I put the gun back into the holster, which is on the side. And this is going to be what your piece looks like afterwards. So we pierced a hole into the middle, and we used the straight edge to cut. You should be able to see the difference between a straight edge cut, very straight, and then a freehand cut. The results are tremendous. So you guys, as you go to cut things, if you think you're just going to freehand it, keep in mind it doesn't turn out awesome. A straight edge cut, and I don't think you'll be able to see this from the camera, you can see the marks of where it cut because it is so straight. I can't see those as well here because it's so jagged. So this is what you will produce when you demonstrate that you can pierce it correctly and that you can use the straight edge correctly in one shot. Then you will successfully pass this safety check.